My coffee sat cold on the kitchen table, untouched, as I stared at the rain tapping against the window. Each drop felt like a heartbeat, slow and heavy, echoing the quiet of my old house. The clock on the wall ticked louder than it should, its hands creeping toward evening. It was just me, and that sound now, a reminder of days that used to be full of laughter but had long gone silent. My name was Margaret Thompson, 76 years old, a widow for 12 years. I lived in a small town called Willow Creek, in a house that held every memory I had left, some warm, some sharp enough to cut. Once, this place rang with my husband Tom's humming and my son David's chatter. Now, it was just me, the rain, and a weight I couldn't name. "What happened to us, Tom?" I whispered, my fingers brushing the edge of an old photo on the table. It was us on our wedding day, young and smiling, unaware of the years ahead. The phone rang, snapping me out of my thoughts. David's name flashed on the screen, and my heart lifted, then sank. He didn't call often anymore, not since he moved to the city with his new fiancée, Claire. I answered, my voice soft. "David, how are you?" His voice came through, rushed, almost too cheerful. "Mom, I've got news. Claire and I are getting married." My breath caught. Married. I wanted to be happy, but something in his tone, a hint of strain, made me pause. "That's wonderful," I said, trying to mean it. "When?" "3 months from now," he replied. "It's going to be big, Mom. Claire wants it perfect. Hilltop Lodge, fancy flowers, the works." I knew Hilltop Lodge, the grandest venue in Willow Creek, with its sprawling gardens and lake views. It wasn't cheap. "Sounds expensive," I said carefully. David laughed, but it sounded forced. "Yeah, it is. That's why I was hoping. You know, you've always been there for me, Mom." I leaned back in my chair, my knees aching as I shifted. The rain kept falling, heavier now, blurring the world outside. I had spent years saving, working long shifts as a librarian, putting aside every penny for David's future. When Tom got sick, I used most of it for his treatment, but I still had enough tucked away. David knew that. "How much do you need?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tightness in my chest. He hesitated, then named a number that made my heart skip. It was more than I had expected, enough to drain what I had left. "David, that's a lot," I said, gripping the phone. "I know, Mom," he said quickly, "but it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Claire deserves the best, and I want to make her happy." I closed my eyes, picturing the boy who used to run to me with scraped knees. Where was he now? "Okay," I said finally. "I'll help." His relief was loud, almost too loud. "You're the best, Mom. Claire's going to be thrilled." We talked a bit more about the guest list, the music, the food, but his words felt distant, like he was reading a script. When we hung up, the house felt quieter than ever. I walked to the living room, my cane tapping the floor, and stopped at the mantel. Another photo sat there, David as a teenager, grinning beside Tom at a fishing trip. He'd been so close to us then, full of dreams about teaching history like his dad. But after Tom's death, something changed. David pulled away, his visits shorter, his calls rare. I thought grief would bring us closer, but it built a wall instead. I sat down, the ache in my knees sharper now. The rain hadn't stopped, and neither had the questions in my head. Why did David only call when he needed something? Why did this wedding, this grand plan, feel like a weight on my shoulders? I'd met Claire once at a quick lunch in town. She was polished, with sharp eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. "You must be so proud of David," she'd said, her voice sweet but cold. I'd nodded, unsure why her words felt like a performance. My grandson, Ethan, David's son from his first marriage, had warned me about her. "She's nice to Dad's face, Grandma," he'd said last summer, his voice low. "But she's different when he's not around." I'd brushed it off then, thinking Ethan was just protective. Now I wasn't so sure. The next morning, I woke to a gray sky, the rain gone, but the air heavy. I made tea, my hands shaky as I thought about the money. It wasn't just savings, it was my safety net, my plan for the years ahead. But David was my son, my only child. What kind of mother would I be if I said no? I called Ethan, needing his voice to ground me. "Grandma," he answered, his warmth like sunlight. At 19, he was studying biology in college, always full of stories. "Did Dad tell you about the wedding?" he asked. I nodded, though he couldn't see. He did. "It's big." Ethan paused. "Yeah, Claire's idea. She's got this vision, you know. Dad's just going along with it." His words carried a weight, like he wanted to say more but didn't. "Be careful, Grandma," he added. "Claire's good at getting what she wants." I hung up, my stomach twisting. The house felt too big, too empty. I walked to the backyard, where my small garden bloomed with roses Tom had planted years ago. Their petals were wet, drooping under the weight of last night's rain. I touched one, remembering how Tom used to call them my strength, beautiful but tough. I wanted to believe I was still that woman, but doubt crept in. Was I just an old lady clinging to the past, like David once said? The phone rang again, Claire's name this time. My heart sank. "Margaret," she said, her voice smooth. "We're meeting the wedding planner tomorrow at Hilltop Lodge. Can you come? It's important." I agreed, but her tone left a chill. Something told me this wedding wasn't about love, it was about control. And I was about to walk right into it. The cab pulled up to my house right at 10 a.m., the driver honking twice. I grabbed my purse, my cane tapping the floor as I moved. My heart felt heavy, like the gray clouds still hanging over Willow Creek. I had barely slept, thinking about Claire's call and Ethan's warning. Why did this wedding feel like a storm waiting to break? I smoothed my navy dress, pinned my silver brooch, a gift from Tom for our 25th anniversary, and stepped outside. The air smelled of wet grass, and the cab's tires crunched on the gravel drive. I climbed in, my knees protesting, and we headed to Hilltop Lodge. The town passed by in a blur, the library where I'd worked, the park where David used to play, the diner where Tom and I shared Sunday breakfasts. Each spot tugged at my heart, reminding me of a life that felt so far away now. At Hilltop Lodge, the mansion loomed grand and cold, its stone walls gleaming under the cloudy sky. Claire was waiting at the entrance, her blonde hair perfect, her red dress tight and bold. She smiled, but it was sharp like a knife hidden in silk. "Margaret, you made it," she said, her voice too sweet. She air-kissed my cheek, her perfume strong enough to make me dizzy. "Come on, the planner's inside." I followed, my cane clicking on the marble floor. David was there in a suit looking nervous. He hugged me quickly, his eyes darting to Claire. "Mom, this is Lisa Grant, the wedding planner," he said, nodding to a woman in a crisp blazer. Lisa shook my hand, her smile professional. "We're planning a modern classic wedding," she said. "Ceremony on the lawn, dinner in the ballroom, gold and white theme." I nodded, picturing the cost. My savings, years of careful planning, were slipping away for this. Claire took over, talking fast about flowers, menus, and a string quartet. David nodded along, but I saw his jaw tighten when she mentioned the guest list. 150 people, most of them her friends and family. "That's a big crowd," I said, my voice quiet. Claire's eyes flicked to me, cool and sharp. "It's a special day, Margaret. We want everyone there." I wanted to ask who everyone was, but Lisa moved us to the lawn, pointing out where the ceremony arch would stand. The lake sparkled in the distance, but the wind was cold, biting my hands. "What if it rains?" I asked, thinking of my garden's roses wilting in storms. Claire laughed, short and sharp. "We've got tents, Margaret. Don't worry." Her tone made my stomach twist, like I was a child being scolded. Back inside, Lisa spread out a seating chart. The head tables for the couple, Claire's mom, her sister, and David's closest family, she said. I waited, expecting my name, but it wasn't there. "Where do I sit?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Claire's smile didn't waver, but her eyes were ice. "Oh, Margaret, We thought you'd be more comfortable with the other guests. The head table's for younger family, you know." David looked away, his face red. My heart sank, heavy as the rain from yesterday. I was his mother, paying for half this wedding, and they didn't want me at the head table? I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "I see," I said, gripping my cane. Lisa glanced between us, sensing the tension, but said nothing. Later, over coffee in the lodge's cafe, Claire leaned close, her voice low. "Margaret, you're so generous with the money. It means a lot to David." Her words sounded warm, but her eyes were calculating, like she was weighing me. "It's for my son," I said, keeping my voice steady. She nodded, then added, "We're thinking of adding a fireworks show. It's only a bit more. You'll help, right?" My chest tightened. A bit more? I knew it wasn't small. I glanced at David, hoping he'd say something, but he stared at his coffee, silent. "I'll think about it," I said, my voice colder than I meant. Claire's smile faltered, just for a second, before snapping back. "Of course," she said, but I felt the shift like a door slamming shut. When I got home, the house was dark, the silence louder than ever. I sank into my armchair, the one Tom used to love, and stared at the photo of David on the mantel. His boyish grin was gone now, replaced by a man I barely knew. My phone buzzed. "Ethan." "How was the meeting, Grandma?" he asked, his voice worried. I told him about the seating chart, the fireworks, Claire's cold smile. He sighed. "I told you, she's controlling. Dad's just letting her." I closed my eyes, the ache in my chest growing. Why does he need her so much? I asked, almost to myself. Ethan paused. "He's lonely, Grandma. After Mom left, he changed. Claire fills that space, but not in a good way." His words hit hard, stirring memories of David's divorce, how he stopped visiting, how I'd filled the gap with money and silence. That night, I couldn't sleep. The rain started again, tapping the windows like fingers. I thought about Claire's words, David's silence, the money I'd promised. Was I just a bank to them? I got up, my knees creaking, and opened my desk drawer. Inside was a letter from Tom, written before he died. "Maggie, you're stronger than you know," it said. "Don't let anyone make you small." I held it, tears burning my eyes. Claire's voice echoed in my head, her casual dismissal of me at the wedding. A new feeling stirred, sharp and unfamiliar, anger. I wasn't just an old woman to be pushed aside. But what could I do? The wedding was in 2 months, and my savings were already tied to it. I went to bed, but sleep didn't come. Instead, a plan started forming, quiet but firm, like a seed taking root. The next morning, Claire called again. "Margaret, we need to confirm the fireworks deposit today," she said, her voice all business. I paused, my heart racing. "I'm not sure about that yet," I said slowly. She laughed, but it was tight. "Come on, it's for David. You wouldn't let him down, would you?" Her words were a jab, and I felt the sting. But Tom's letter was still in my mind, his words louder than hers. I said, "I'll think about it," I replied, my voice firm. There was silence on her end, then a sharp, "Fine. Let me know soon." She hung up, and I stared at the phone, my hand shaking. Something was coming, something big. I didn't know what I'd do, but I knew I couldn't keep giving in. Not anymore. The morning sun barely broke through the clouds as I sat at my kitchen table, the phone still in my hand from Claire's call. My heart hadn't stopped racing. Her sharp tone, that "fine" before she hung up, lingered like a bad taste. I set the phone down, my fingers brushing Tom's letter, still open on the table. His words, "You're stronger than you know," felt like a whisper from him, urging me to stand taller. But standing up to Claire, to David, felt like stepping into a fire. I was 76, tired, with a cane and a heart full of memories. Could I really do this? The rain had stopped, but the air was damp, heavy with the smell of wet earth. I looked out at my garden, the roses drooping but still alive, and felt a spark of something new. Not just anger, courage. I made tea, the kettle's whistle sharp in the quiet house. As it steeped, I thought about David. He wasn't always distant. I remembered him at 10, helping me bake cookies, his small hands sticky with dough, laughing when he dropped flour on the floor. Where was that boy now? Buried under Claire's plans, her demands, her perfect wedding. I sipped my tea, wincing as it burned my tongue. The phone buzzed again, Ethan. His voice was soft but urgent. "Grandma, you okay?" "Dad called me. Said Claire's upset about the fireworks." I sighed, my chest tight. "She wants more money," I said. Ethan groaned. "She's pushing Dad too hard. He told me yesterday he's stressed, taking on extra shifts to cover costs. Why can't she see that?" My heart ached. David was struggling and I hadn't known. Why didn't he tell me? I asked, my voice breaking. Ethan paused. "He's ashamed, Grandma. Doesn't want you to worry." I hung up, tears stinging my eyes. David, my boy, drowning in shame and still not talking to me. I walked to the living room, my cane tapping, and picked up the photo of him and Tom fishing. His smile was so wide then, so free. I wanted to fix this, to pull him back to me, but Claire's shadow was everywhere. The doorbell rang, startling me. It was Linda, my neighbor and friend from the library days. Her gray hair was tied back, her eyes warm but worried. "Maggie, you look pale," she said, stepping inside with a plate of muffins. "What's wrong?" I told her everything. The wedding, Claire's coldness, the seating chart, the money. Linda listened, her face tightening. "That girl's trouble," she said. "I saw her at the diner last week, talking to some man, not David. They looked close, Maggie. Too close." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" I asked. Linda shrugged, uneasy. "I don't know. Just be careful." Her words stuck with me, a new knot in my chest. Was Claire hiding something? I thanked Linda, but my mind was spinning. I sat back down, the muffins untouched, and called David. "Mom, I'm at work," he said, his voice clipped. "Can it wait?" "No," I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. "We need to talk about the wedding. About Claire." He sighed, heavy and tired. "Mom, she's just excited. It's a lot to plan." I gripped the phone, my heart pounding. "David, she didn't put me at the head table. She's asking for more money I don't have. Is this what you want?" Silence stretched, long and painful. "It's her day, Mom," he said finally, his voice small. "I just want her happy." My throat tightened, tears spilling over. "What about me, David? I'm your mother." He didn't answer, just mumbled, "I'll call later," and hung up. I sat there, stunned, the phone slipping from my hand. My son, choosing her over me. The hurt cut deeper than I expected, sharp as a blade. But under it, that spark of courage grew. I wasn't just a checkbook, a name to be pushed aside. I walked to my desk, pulled out my bank papers, and stared the numbers. My savings, my safety, all tied to this wedding. I thought of Linda's words, Claire with some man at the diner. A twist of suspicion curled in my gut. Was she using David? Using me? I called Ethan again, my voice shaking but firm. "I need your help," I said. "Can you find out more about Claire? Who she's been meeting?" Ethan hesitated, then agreed. "I'll ask around, Grandma. But don't do anything rash, okay?" I promised, but my mind was racing. Rash or not, something had to change. That evening, I went to my garden, the roses glowing in the fading light. I clipped a few, their thorns pricking my fingers, a small pain that grounded me. Inside, I set them in a vase, their scent filling the room. My phone buzzed, a text from Claire. "Margaret, we need that deposit by tomorrow. Don't let David down." Her words were a slap, bold and demanding. I stared at them, my hands trembling. Then I saw another text, from Ethan. "Grandma, I heard something. Claire's been meeting a guy named Mark, her old boss. They've been texting a lot. I'll find out more." My heart stopped. An old boss? Texting? The pieces didn't fit, but they felt wrong, dangerous. I set the phone down, Tom's letter catching my eye again. "Don't let anyone make you small." I wasn't sure what Claire was hiding, but I wasn't going to wait to find out. I picked up the phone and dialed my bank, my voice steady. I need to put a hold on a transfer, I said. The wedding was about to get complicated. The phone shook in my hand as I hung up with the bank, my heart pounding like it hadn't in years. I'd put a hold on the wedding transfer, just for now, but it felt like stepping off a cliff. The roses on the table caught my eye, their petals soft but thorny, like the choice I'd just made. Outside, Willow Creek was quiet, the evening air thick with the scent of damp leaves. I sat in Tom's old armchair, the fabric worn under my fingers, and tried to steady my breath. What had I done? David would be furious, and Claire. Her sharp voice already echoed in my head. But Tom's words from his letter kept me grounded. Don't let anyone make you small. I wasn't small, not anymore. Still, doubt crept in, heavy as the silence in my house. The doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. I stood, my cane tapping, and opened the door to find Ethan, his face flushed from the chilly evening. "Grandma, I came as soon as I could," he said, stepping inside. His jacket was damp, his eyes wide with worry. "What's going on? You sounded serious on the phone." I motioned to the couch, my knees aching as I sat beside him. "Ethan, I stopped the money for the wedding." "Just for now," I said, my voice low. His eyes widened. "Whoa, Grandma, that's big. What happened?" I told him about Claire's text, her push for the fireworks deposit, and what he'd said about her meeting Mark. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I asked a friend who knows Mark," he said. "He's not just her old boss. They dated years ago, before Dad. My friend saw them at a cafe last week, laughing close. Too close." My heart sank, a cold weight in my chest. "Does David know?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Ethan shook his head. "I don't think so. Dad's blind to her, Grandma. He thinks she's perfect." I leaned back, tears stinging my eyes. David, my boy, caught in something he couldn't see. "I need to talk to him," I said. Ethan touched my arm, his hand warm. "Be careful. Claire's good at twisting things. She'll make it look like you're the problem." His words hit hard, stirring a memory of David as a kid, crying when a friend lied about him. I'd held him then, promised to always stand by him. Now, I wasn't so sure he'd let me. The phone rang, shattering the moment. It was David. I answered, my throat tight. "Mom, what's this about the bank?" he said, his voice sharp. "Claire just called the planner, and they said the deposit's on hold. What's going on?" I took a deep breath, gripping my cane. "David, I'm worried. This wedding, the money, it's too much. And Claire, she's not being honest." He cut me off, his voice rising. "Mom, stop it. Claire's stressed, okay? She's trying to make this perfect, and you're making it harder." My heart cracked at his words, tears spilling over. "David, I'm your mother," I said, my voice shaking. "I gave everything for you. Why can't you see what she's doing?" He went quiet, then said, cold and low, "You're being selfish, Mom. This isn't about you." He hung up, and the silence hit like a slap. I stared at the phone, my hands trembling. Ethan reached for me, his voice soft. "Grandma, he didn't mean that. He's just lost." I shook my head, wiping my tears. "He's choosing her, Ethan, over me." The words hurt to say, each one a knife. Ethan hugged me, his arms strong. "He'll come around. You're doing the right thing." But I wasn't so sure. I'd stopped the money, but what now? Claire's shadow loomed larger, and Ethan's news about Mark twisted in my mind. Was she cheating? Using David? I needed answers. "Ethan, can you get proof?" I asked, my voice steadier. He nodded. "I'll try. My friend's got texts between Claire and Mark. I'll see what I can find." After Ethan left, I walked to my garden, the night air cool against my face. The roses glowed under the porch light, their thorns sharp as my thoughts. I remembered Tom tending them, his hands gentle but sure. He'd always known when to fight, when to stand firm. I wanted to be that strong, but fear gnawed at me, fear of losing David for good. The phone buzzed again, a text from Claire. "Margaret, fix the bank issue. We're counting on you." No warmth, just a demand. My fingers hovered over the screen, itching to reply, but I stopped. Instead, I called Linda. "Can you meet me tomorrow?" I asked. "I need to know more about Claire and that man at the diner." Linda's voice was firm. "I'll be there, Maggie. We'll figure this out." The next morning, I met Linda at the diner, the same one where she'd seen Claire. The smell of coffee and bacon filled the air, familiar and comforting. Linda slid into the booth across from me, her eyes serious. "I asked around," she said, keeping her voice low. "The man's name is Mark Reynolds. He owns a car dealership in town. Someone saw him and Claire at a hotel bar last month, looking cozy." My stomach churned. "A hotel?" I asked, my voice shaking. Linda nodded. "I'm sorry, Maggie. I don't trust her." I sipped my coffee, the bitterness matching my mood. "I don't either," I said, "but David won't listen." Linda reached for my hand. "Then make him. You're his mother, Maggie. You've got more strength than you know." I left the diner, my mind racing. Claire's secrets were piling up, and David was slipping further away. But something inside me was shifting, a fire growing where fear had been. I got home and found a voicemail from the wedding planner, Lisa. "Margaret, we need to talk," she said, her voice tense. "Claire's changed the budget again, and there's an issue with the venue deposit. Call me back." I sat down, my heart pounding. Another change, another demand. But this time I wasn't giving in. I dialed Lisa, my voice calm but firm. "Tell Claire the hold stays until I talk to David," I said. "No more changes." Lisa hesitated, then agreed. I hung up, feeling the weight of my choice. Claire wasn't in control anymore. I was. The house felt colder that afternoon, even with the sun peeking through the clouds. I sat at the kitchen table, Lisa's voicemail still ringing in my ears. Claire had changed the budget again, and my hold on the bank transfer was causing waves. My hands shook as I held Tom's letter, his words a lifeline. "You're stronger than you know." I wanted to believe it, but David's voice, "You're being selfish, Mom," cut deeper than I could admit. I set the letter down, my eyes falling on the roses in the vase. Their thorns reminded me of the fight ahead. I wasn't just fighting for my money. I was fighting for my son, for myself. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent. I stood, my cane steadying me, and opened the door to find Claire, her face tight with anger. "Margaret, what's this about the bank?" she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invite. Her heels clicked on the floor, her eyes scanning my living room like she was pricing it. The planner's freaking out. The venue might cancel. I closed the door, my heart racing, but my voice calm. I told Lisa I need to talk to David first. No more changes until then. Claire's eyes narrowed, her smile gone. "This is our wedding, Margaret. You can't just stop the money. David's counting on you." Her words stung, but I held my ground. "I'm his mother, Claire. I've given enough. Why do you keep asking for more?" She crossed her arms, her voice sharp. "Because it's what David wants. A perfect day. Don't you want that for him?" I leaned on my cane, my knees aching, but my resolve firm. I want him happy, not broke. And I want to be part of his life, not pushed aside. Claire laughed, cold and short. "Pushed aside? You're at the wedding, aren't you? Be grateful for that." My chest tightened, tears burning my eyes. Grateful? For being a guest at my own son's wedding, paying for it all? Before I could speak, the phone rang. It was Ethan. I answered, turning away from Claire. "Grandma, I got something," he said, his voice low. "Mark sent Claire a text about meeting tonight. At the hotel bar. I saw a screenshot." My stomach dropped. "You sure?" I whispered. "Positive," he said. "I'm sending it to you." I hung up, my hands trembling as I faced Claire. "Who's Mark?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Claire's face froze. just for a second, before she forced a smile. Mark? Just a friend. Why? I stepped closer, my heart pounding. A friend you're meeting at a hotel bar? While planning my son's wedding. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. You're spying on me? That's low, Margaret. I shook my head, tears spilling over. I'm protecting David. Something you're not doing. She stepped back, her voice icy. You're making a mistake. David will hear about this. She turned and left, the door slamming behind her. I sank into a chair, my breath shaky. The screenshot from Ethan buzzed through. A text from Mark. Meet me at 8. Same place. Miss you. My heart broke, not just for me, but for David, caught in her lies. I called David, my fingers clumsy on the phone. Mom, I'm busy, he said, his voice tired. Claire's upset. What's going on? I took a deep breath, tears streaming down my face. David, I stopped the money because I'm worried. Claire's meeting another man, Mark, behind her back. Ethan saw texts. Silence hung heavy. Then he snapped. That's crazy, Mom. You're just jealous of her. Stop meddling. His words hit like a punch, stealing my breath. David, I'm trying to help you, I said, my voice cracking. She's lying to you. He laughed, bitter and sharp. You're the one causing problems. Claire loves me. You're just old and stuck in the past. He hung up, and I sat there, sobbing, the phone slipping to the table. My son, my only child, thought I was the enemy. I walked to the garden, the evening air cool and sharp. The roses stood tall, their petals catching the last light. I touched one, its thorn pricking my finger, a small pain that felt real, grounding. I thought of Tom, how he'd hold me when things got hard, his voice soft but sure. Maggie, you're enough. I wiped my tears, anger mixing with my hurt. Claire wasn't just controlling the wedding, she was controlling David. And I was done letting her. I called Ethan back, my voice firm. Can you get more proof? Anything solid? He hesitated, then said, I'll try, Grandma. My friend's digging. But Dad, he's not listening. I nodded, though he couldn't see. I know, but I'm not giving up on him. Later, Linda stopped by, her face worried. Maggie, you okay? She asked, setting a thermos of soup on the table. I told her about Claire's visit, the text from Mark, David's anger. She hugged me, her arms warm. You're doing the right thing, she said. David's blind, but he'll see it eventually. I shook my head, my voice small. What if he doesn't? What if I lose him? Linda squeezed my hand. You won't. You're his mom. That counts. Her words helped, but the ache stayed. Before she left, she added, I heard Mark's at that bar a lot. Maybe you should see for yourself. My heart skipped. Go to the hotel bar? Me, an old woman with a cane? But the idea stuck, bold and scary. I looked at Tom's letter, his words loud in my head. I wasn't small. Not anymore. I grabbed my coat, my hands steady. I'm going, I told Linda. She nodded, her eyes proud. I'll drive you. Linda's car hummed through Willow Creek's quiet streets, the dashboard lights casting a soft glow on her face. I sat in the passenger seat, my cane between my knees, my heart pounding like a drum. The hotel bar was only 10 minutes away, but it felt like a journey to another world. Me, Margaret Thompson, 76 years old, chasing secrets in the dark. Tom would have laughed, called me his brave rose. But my hands shook as I clutched my purse, thinking of David's voice. You're just old and stuck in the past. His words burned, mixing with Claire's cold stare and that text from Mark. Miss you. I looked out the window, the town's lights blurring through my tears. You sure about this, Maggie? Linda asked, her voice gentle but firm. I nodded, swallowing hard. I have to know, Linda. For David. We pulled into the hotel parking lot, the neon sign glowing above the bar's entrance. It was a fancy place, all glass and chrome, not like the cozy diner I knew. Linda helped me out of the car, her arm steady under mine. You don't have to go in alone, she said. I'm here. I squeezed her hand, grateful. Let's do this together. Inside, the bar was dim, filled with low chatter and the clink of glasses. My eyes scanned the room, my heart racing. Then I saw her, Claire, at a corner table, laughing with a man in a sharp suit. His hand brushed hers, and she didn't pull away. My breath caught, my chest tight with hurt and anger. "That's him," Linda whispered. "Mark." I nodded, unable to speak, my eyes locked on them. I took a step forward, my cane tapping the floor, but Linda grabbed my arm. "Maggie, wait. What are you going to say?" I shook my head, tears stinging. "I don't know yet, but I can't just watch." I moved closer, close enough to hear Claire's laugh, sharp and bright, like she didn't have a care in the world. Mark leaned in, his voice low. "You sure about this wedding, Claire? You don't seem all in." My heart stopped. Claire sighed, twirling her glass. "It's fine, Mark. David's sweet, but it's the life I want. Stability, you know." My knees buckled, and Linda steadied me, her face pale. Stability? Was that all my son was to her? I wanted to scream, to march over and confront her, but my feet felt glued to the floor. Before I could move, Claire's eyes flicked up and met mine. Her smile vanished, her face turning white. "Margaret," she said, standing fast, her voice sharp. Mark turned, his eyes narrowing. I stepped forward, my voice shaking but loud. "What are you doing here, Claire?" "With him." The bar went quiet, heads turning. Claire laughed, but it was nervous, forced. "It's just a drink, Margaret. Don't make a scene." My tears fell, but my voice stayed strong. "A scene? You're meeting another man, talking about my son like he's a paycheck. How could you?" Mark stood, his face cold. "Lady, this is private. Back off." Linda stepped up, her voice fierce. "She's his mother. She's got every right." Claire's eyes darted between us, her calm cracking. "You're spying again," she snapped. "David's going to hear about this." I gripped my cane, my heart breaking, but my anger hotter. "Tell him," I said. "Tell him how you're lying to him. Tell him about Mark." Claire's face twisted, and for a moment I saw fear in her eyes. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, Mark following. I stood there, shaking, the room spinning. Linda guided me to a chair, her voice soft. "You did good, Maggie. That took guts." I wiped my tears, my breath ragged. "Did it? David won't believe me. He thinks I'm the problem." Linda hugged me, her warmth steadying me. "He'll see the truth. You just showed her you're not invisible." We drove home, the night heavy around us. I stared at the roses on my table when we got back, their scent filling the quiet. My phone buzzed, David. I answered, my heart in my throat. "Mom, Claire just called," he said, his voice shaking with anger. "She said you followed her, embarrassed her in public. What's wrong with you?" Tears spilled over, but I kept my voice steady. "David, I saw her with another man. Mark. They were talking about you, about the wedding. She's not who you think." He laughed, cold and sharp. "You're obsessed, Mom. You're ruining everything." I clutched the phone, my voice breaking. "I'm trying to save you, David. Why can't you see that?" He went quiet, then said, "I need space, Mom. Don't call me." The line went dead, and I sank into Tom's chair, sobbing. Ethan came over an hour later, his face worried. "Grandma, I heard what happened," he said, sitting beside me. "I got more proof. Another text from Mark to Claire, talking about meeting again tomorrow. I showed Dad, but he's too mad to listen." I looked at him, my heart heavy. "He hates me, Ethan. My own son." Ethan hugged me, his voice soft. "He doesn't hate you. He's just lost. But I'm here, okay?" I nodded, tears falling, but his words warmed me, like sunlight after a storm. I looked at the roses, their thorns sharp but beautiful. "What do I do now?" I asked, my voice small. Ethan squeezed my hand. "Keep fighting, Grandma. For Dad, for you." I nodded, a new plan forming, risky but clear. I called Lisa, the planner, my voice firm. The hold on the money stays, I said. And tell Claire I want a meeting with her and David. Tomorrow. Lisa hesitated, then agreed. I hung up, my heart racing. This wasn't over. Not yet. The morning light crept through my kitchen curtains, soft but cold, as I sat with a cup of tea I hadn't touched. My hand still shook from last night's call to Lisa, demanding a meeting with David and Claire. I'd barely slept. David's words, "I need space, Mom," cutting through me like glass. The roses on the table looked tired, their petals curling, but their scent reminded me of Tom, of his quiet strength. I was trying to be strong too, but my heart ached for my son, for the boy who used to cling to me. Now I was fighting to save him from Claire, from her lies, and maybe from himself. The clock ticked, loud in the silence, counting down to the meeting at Hilltop Lodge. I gripped my cane, my stomach twisting. Could I face them both? The phone buzzed, and Ethan's name lit up the screen. "Grandma, you ready for today?" he asked, his voice warm but worried. I sighed, my throat tight. I don't know, Ethan. David's so angry. What if he shuts me out? Ethan paused, then said he's mad, but he loves you. I showed him the text from Mark again. He didn't say much, but I think he's starting to wonder. My heart lifted just a bit. You think he'll listen? I asked. Ethan's voice softened. Maybe not today, but soon. You're doing this because you love him. He'll see that. I wiped a tear, his words like a hug through the phone. Thanks, Ethan. Can you come to the meeting? I need you there. He agreed, and I hung up, feeling a little less alone. Linda arrived soon after, her face set but kind. "Maggie, you look like you're going to war," she said, setting a basket of scones on the table. I managed a small smile. Feels like it. Claire's not going to make this easy. Linda sat across from me, her eyes steady. She's cornered, Maggie. That scene at the bar? She knows you're onto her. Be ready for her to fight dirty. I nodded, my hands tightening on my cane. I just want David to see the truth. Is that too much? Linda reached for my hand. No, it's not. You're his mom. Keep fighting for him. Her words warmed me, but fear still gnawed. What if I lost him for good? At Hilltop Lodge, the meeting room was all polished wood and tall windows, the lake sparkling outside. Lisa, the planner, greeted me, her face nervous. "Margaret, thanks for coming," she said. "David and Claire are on their way." I nodded, my heart racing as I sat. Ethan beside me, Linda on my other side. The door opened, and David walked in, his face hard, Claire behind him, her eyes sharp as knives. She sat across from me, her smile tight. "Margaret, this is dramatic," she said, her voice smooth but cold. "Calling a meeting? Stopping the money? What's next?" I took a deep breath, my voice steady. "The truth, Claire. That's what's next. I saw you with Mark. I heard you call David stability. Is that all he is to you?" David's head snapped up, his eyes on Claire. "What's she talking about?" he asked, his voice low. Claire laughed, sharp and quick. "She's twisting things, David. I met Mark for business. He's helping with the wedding cars." I leaned forward, my heart pounding. "Business? At a hotel bar? He said he misses you, Claire. I have the text." I slid my phone across the table, the screenshot glowing. David grabbed it, his face paling as he read. "Claire, what's this?" he asked, his voice shaking. She flinched, then recovered, her voice rising. "It's nothing. She's making it up to ruin our day." Ethan spoke up, his voice firm. "It's not made up, Dad. I saw more texts. Mark's not just a friend." David's eyes darted between us, confusion and hurt flashing across his face. "Mom, why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice breaking. Tears filled my eyes, but I held his gaze. "Because I love you, David. I've given everything, my savings, my heart for you. But she's lying to you. I can't let you marry someone who doesn't love you." Claire stood, her face red. "This is ridiculous. David, you know I love you." "She's just jealous, trying to control you. I stood too, my cane steady, my voice loud. Control? I'm your mother, David. I'm trying to save you from her lies. The room went quiet, Lisa shifting uncomfortably, Linda nodding at me, proud. David ran a hand through his hair, his eyes wet. I don't know what to believe, he said, his voice small. Claire, tell me the truth. Is there something with Mark? Claire's eyes flickered. Then she softened, her voice sweet. David, he's nothing. Just an old friend. I swear. But her hands shook, and David saw it. He stood, his voice cold. I need time to think. He walked out, leaving Claire staring after him. She turned to me, her voice venomous. You're ruining everything, Margaret. You'll regret this. She stormed out, and I sank into my chair, tears streaming down. Ethan hugged me, his voice soft. You did it, Grandma. He's starting to see. Back home, I sat in my garden, the roses glowing in the evening light. My heart ached. David's hurt face, Claire's threats. But I felt something new, too. Strength. I'd faced them, spoken my truth. Linda called, her voice warm. Maggie, you were amazing today. David shaken. Give him time. I nodded, wiping my tears. I just want my son back, I said. She paused, then said, You're getting there. Don't stop now. I looked at the roses, their thorns sharp but beautiful. Claire wasn't done, and neither was I. I called Ethan, my voice steady. Any more proof on Mark? I asked. Working on it, he said. But Grandma, Dad's asking questions now. Keep going. I hung up, my heart racing. The wedding was a month away, and everything was about to change. The evening air was cool as I sat on my porch, the roses in my garden catching the last bits of sunlight. My heart still raced from the meeting at Hilltop Lodge. David's hurt face burned into my mind. His words, I don't know what to believe, echoed, giving me a sliver of hope but also fear. I'd shaken him, but Claire's threat, You'll regret this, hung heavy, like a storm waiting to break. I held Tom's letter, his handwriting faded, but his words clear. You're stronger than you know. I wanted to believe it, but my tears fell, soaking the paper. I'd fought for David, but what if he chose her? The phone buzzed, pulling me back. It was Ethan. Grandma, you okay? He asked, his voice soft. Dad's been quiet since the meeting. I think he's thinking hard. I wiped my eyes, my voice shaky. He's still mad at me, Ethan. Did I push too far? Ethan sighed, his warmth coming through the phone. No, you did right. He's confused, but he's asking about Mark now. I got more texts, Mark and Claire talking about a trip after the wedding. I'll show him tomorrow. My heart skipped, a mix of hope and dread. A trip? I asked, my voice tight. Yeah, Ethan said. Sounds like she's planning something behind Dad's back. I leaned back, my chest aching. David, my boy, caught in her web. Keep me posted, I said. And, Ethan, thanks for being here. He laughed softly. Always, Grandma. You're tougher than you think. The next morning, I was in the kitchen when the doorbell rang, loud and sharp. My knees ached as I walked to the door, expecting Linda. Instead, it was Claire, her face pale but her eyes blazing. Margaret, we need to talk, she said, pushing past me into the living room. I closed the door, my heart pounding. What do you want, Claire? I asked, gripping my cane. She spun around, her voice sharp. You're ruining everything. David's doubting me because of you. Call the bank. Release the money. Now. I stared at her, my anger rising. No, I said, my voice firm. Not until you tell David the truth about Mark. Her eyes narrowed, her voice low. You think you're smart, don't you? Meddling old woman. David will never believe you over me. I stepped closer, my tears hot, but my voice steady. He's my son, Claire. I know him. He's starting to see you for who you are. She laughed, cold and sharp. You're pathetic, Margaret, clinging to a son who's moved on. Stay out of this, or I'll make sure he cuts you off for good. My heart broke, but I stood taller. Get out of my house, I said, pointing to the door. She froze, shocked, then stormed out, slamming the door. I sank into Tom's chair, sobbing, my hands shaking. She'd threatened to take David away, and it felt so real. But I wasn't backing down. Not now. The phone rang, David. I answered, my voice trembling. Mom, Claire says you're bullying her, he said, his voice tired but sharp. What's going on? I took a deep breath, tears falling. David, she came here, demanding I release the money. She's hiding something with Mark. Please listen to me. He went quiet, then said, I saw the texts Ethan sent. I asked her, and she says it's nothing. I don't know, Mom. I'm so confused. My heart ached, hearing his pain. David, I love you, I said, my voice breaking. I'm fighting for you because I see you hurting. Come talk to me, please. He sighed, his voice soft. I need time, Mom. I'll come by tomorrow. He hung up, and I sat there, tears streaming, hope and fear mixing. Linda came over that afternoon, her face worried. Maggie, you look worn out, she said, setting a pot of tea on the table. I told her about Claire's visit, David's call, the texts about a trip. She shook her head, her voice firm. That girl's trouble, Maggie. But David's starting to see it. You're getting through. I wiped my eyes, my voice small. What if he picks her, Linda? What if I lose him? She hugged me, her arms warm. You won't. You're his mom. That bond doesn't break. I nodded, her words easing the ache just a little. I told him to come tomorrow, I said. What do I say? Linda smiled. The truth, like you've been doing. He'll listen. That evening, Ethan texted, Dad's asking more about Mark. I'm meeting my friend tonight to get more proof. I stared at the message, my heart racing. David was questioning, but Claire was fighting hard. I walked to my garden, the roses glowing under the moonlight. I touched one, its thorn pricking my finger, a small pain that felt real. I thought of Tom, his laugh, his love for these roses. You're enough, Maggie. I went inside, my resolve growing. I called Lisa, the planner, my voice steady. No more budget changes, I said. And tell Claire I'm done paying until David knows everything. Lisa paused, then said, Okay, Margaret, I'll tell her. I hung up, my heart pounding. Claire's threats were real, but so was my strength. Tomorrow with David, I'd face the truth, no matter what it cost. The morning was gray, the air heavy with the threat of rain as I sat in my kitchen waiting for David. My hands trembled around my tea, the cup cold now like my hope. Last night's call with Lisa felt like a victory, but Claire's threat, I'll make sure he cuts you off, clawed at me. I looked at the roses on the table, their petals drooping but still bright, like a reminder of Tom's words. You're stronger than you know. I wanted to believe it, but my heart ached for David, for the boy who used to hug me tight. Now he was coming to talk, and I didn't know if he'd listen or turn away for good. The clock ticked, each second heavy as I braced for the truth. The doorbell rang, soft but sharp, and my heart jumped. I stood, my cane tapping, and opened the door. David stood there, his face tired, his eyes red like he hadn't slept. Mom, he said, his voice low, and stepped inside. I motioned to the couch, my knees shaky as I sat across from him. David, I'm so glad you came, I said, my voice trembling. He looked down, his hands twisting together. I don't know what to think, Mom. Claire says you're trying to ruin the wedding. But those texts with Mark, his voice broke and my heart cracked. I reached for his hand, but he pulled back. Tell me the truth, he said, his eyes meeting mine. Why are you doing this? Tears filled my eyes, but I kept my voice steady. Because I love you, David. I've given everything, my savings, my heart, for you. But Claire's not honest. I saw her with Mark, heard her call you stability. She's planning a trip with him after the wedding. David's face paled, his voice shaking. She says it's nothing, just business. Why should I believe you? I leaned forward, tears falling. Because I'm your mom. I held you when you were born, when you cried over your divorce. I'd never hurt you. He looked away, his jaw tight. You stopped the money, Mom. That hurts me. Claire's freaking out. The venue's threatening to cancel. I stood, my cane steady, my voice firm. I stopped it because I'm protecting you. She's using you, David. Ethan has more proof. Texts, plans. She's not who you think. He stood too, his voice rising. You're obsessed with controlling me. Maybe Claire's right, you're jealous. His words hit like a slap, and I gasped, tears streaming. Jealous? David, I'm your mother. I just want you to see the truth. He ran a hand through his hair, his eyes wet. I don't know what to believe anymore. I need to talk to Claire. He turned to leave, but I grabbed his arm, my voice desperate. Wait, David. Come with me to the bank. See what I've given for this wedding. Then decide. He froze, his eyes searching mine. The bank, he asked, his voice softer. I nodded, my heart pounding. I'll show you the transfers, the savings I've spent. If you still think I'm wrong, I'll let go. He hesitated, then nodded. Okay, Mom. Let's go. We drove to the bank in silence, the air thick with tension. Inside, the manager pulled up my account, showing the thousands I'd sent for the wedding. My safety net gone. David stared at the screen, his face crumbling. Mom, you gave all this? He asked, his voice small. I nodded, tears falling. For you, David. Always for you. He looked away, his voice barely a whisper. I didn't know. As we left the bank, my phone buzzed. Ethan. Grandma, I got something big, he said, his voice urgent. Mark and Claire were seen at his dealership, planning to sell a car David doesn't know about. I have a photo. My heart stopped. Send it, I said. David looked at me, his eyes wide. What now? He asked. I showed him the photo Ethan sent, Claire and Mark laughing, papers in hand. David's face went white, his voice shaking. She said it was just business. I touched his arm, my voice soft. David, you deserve better. You always have. He nodded, tears in his eyes, but didn't speak. We drove back, the silence heavy, but different now, like a wall was cracking. At home, Linda was waiting, her face worried. How'd it go? She asked, pouring tea. David sat, his head in his hands. I don't know what to do, he said, his voice breaking. I thought she loved me. Linda sat beside him, her voice gentle. She might, David, but not the way you deserve. Listen to your mom. I sat across from him, my heart aching. David, I'm not trying to hurt you, I said, tears falling. I just want you to be happy. He looked at me, his eyes wet. I'm sorry, Mom, for everything I said. My heart lifted, but before I could answer, the doorbell rang. It was Lisa, the planner, her face pale. Margaret, David, we need to talk, she said. Claire's at the venue making new demands. She says if the money's not released today, she's canceling the wedding. David's face hardened, and I felt a fire inside me. This was it, the moment to end her control. The air in my living room felt heavy as Lisa's words sank in. Claire was threatening to cancel the wedding unless I released the money. David sat across from me, his head still in his hands, the photo of Claire and Mark glowing on my phone. My heart pounded, but not with fear anymore. It was fire now, the kind Tom used to say burned in me when I stood up for what mattered. I looked at the roses on the table, their petals worn but strong like me. I'd fought for David, faced Claire, and shown him the truth. Now it was time to finish this. I stood, my cane steady, and looked at David. We're going to the venue, I said, my voice firm. This ends today. David's eyes met mine, wet but determined. Okay, Mom, he said softly. Let's go. Lisa drove us to Hilltop Lodge, the lake sparkling under a cloudy sky. My knees ached, but I felt taller, stronger. Linda came too, her hand on my arm as we walked into the venue's grand hall. Claire was there, pacing, her face tight with anger. The wedding planner stood nearby, looking nervous. Claire saw us and stopped, her eyes narrowing. Margaret, you brought an audience, she said, her voice sharp. Here to ruin everything. I stepped forward, my heart steady. No, Claire, I'm here for my son. You've lied enough. David moved beside me, his voice low. Claire, we need to talk. About Mark, about everything. Her face paled, but she forced a smile. David, don't listen to her. She's twisting things. I held up my phone, the photo of her and Mark clear. This isn't twisted, I said. You're planning a trip with him, selling a car behind David's back. Tell him the truth. Claire's smile dropped, her voice rising. You're spying, Margaret. You're obsessed with breaking us up. David shook his head, his voice breaking. Claire, I saw the texts. You called me stability. Is that all I am to you? Her eyes darted, panic flashing. No, David, I love you. She's lying. But her voice shook and everyone saw it. Lisa spoke up, her voice quiet. Claire, you told me yesterday you might postpone the wedding. You didn't tell David. David's face crumpled, tears in his eyes. Postpone? Why didn't you tell me? Claire stepped back, her hand shaking. I was stressed, okay? The money, the plans, it's too much. I leaned on my cane, my voice loud. You pushed for more money, Claire. You pushed me out of my son's life. No more. David looked at her, his voice cold. Is it true? About Mark? Claire opened her mouth, then closed it, tears falling. He's just a friend, she whispered, but it sounded hollow. David turned to me, his voice soft. Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. My heart broke and healed at once, tears streaming. It's okay, David, I said, touching his arm. You're my son. I'll always fight for you. Claire grabbed her purse, her voice sharp. Fine. If you don't trust me, the wedding's off. She stormed out, leaving silence behind. David sank into a chair, his face in his hands. I sat beside him, my hand on his back. I thought she loved me, he said, his voice breaking. I wiped my tears, my voice soft. She might have in her way, but you deserve real love, David. Not this. He nodded, leaning into me, like he did when he was little. I'm so sorry, Mom, he said, for everything. I hugged him, my heart full. We're okay now, I said. We'll always be okay. Lisa cleared her throat, her voice gentle. The venue's deposit is safe, Margaret. You don't owe anything more. I nodded, relief washing over me. My savings, what was left, were mine again. Linda hugged me, her eyes proud. You did it, Maggie. You stood up for yourself. I smiled, my tears warm. For David, too. We left the venue, the air lighter now, the clouds breaking apart. Back home, Ethan was waiting, his face lighting up when he saw us. Dad, Grandma, you okay? He asked. David hugged him, his voice thick. Getting there, Ethan. Thanks to you and Mom. Ethan grinned, hugging me tight. You're a rock, Grandma. That evening, I sat in my garden, the roses glowing under the stars. David joined me, his face tired but softer. Mom, I was wrong, he said, his voice low. I let Claire blind me. Thank you for not giving up. I took his hand, my heart full. You're my son, David. I'd fight the world for you. He smiled, a real smile like the boy I remembered. I'm moving back to Willow Creek, he said. I want to be close again. Tears fell, but they were happy now. I'd love that, I said. We sat there, the roses around us, their scent sweet in the night. Months later, I started a new chapter. I sold the big house, too full of old pain, and moved to a small cottage by the lake with a garden for my roses. David visited often, helping me plant, his laugh filling the air. Ethan came too, his stories brightening my days. I joined a book club at the library, made new friends, even started a journal about my roses, sharing it online. One day, a man named Henry, a widower from the club, asked me to coffee. I said yes, my heart light. The pain of the wedding, of Claire, faded, but the lesson stayed. I was enough, always had been. I looked at my roses, their thorns sharp but beautiful, and smiled. Strength wasn't just in fighting, it was in loving, in standing tall, no matter the cost. Moral lesson. True strength comes from knowing your worth and fighting for those you love, even when it hurts. Never let anyone make you feel small, because your heart, your courage is enough.